The search for a public defender job is very specific, and it's probably something that you have never experienced before, because I had applied for many jobs. I had a whole career before this, and I had never experienced anything like this job hunt. But because I was in MDefenders and PDTI, I felt like I was able to have the resources to survive this process, because it was grueling. But in MDefenders specifically, in the beginning of the year, they match you up with mentors who can overlook your resume and check your cover letters and tell you what to emphasize and what may stand out. And I did that almost every year for summer internships and for my real job after graduation. And that was an incredible resource to have alumni and older students help me out.
There's a lot of individual support, and then there's also just the general MDefenders like structure that really can kind of introduce you to the process, which is really important, because like I had no idea, that it was gonna be. I would have prepared for an interview just like any interview, like, what's your weakness, or it's that, and it's like public defense interviews aren't like that.
Some things that I've had to do during interviews. I had to do like an extended client interview with like a fake client, where I simulated this client had been arrested and was waiting to be arraigned, and so I went back and did the first interview with the client. So I had to do one of those. I've had to write like a motion to suppress a piece of evidence in the days leading up to an interview. I've had to give an opening statement. I've had to do a cross-examination, but on the fly, so with no preparation. They just say, do it right now. And I've had to do tons of ethical hypotheticals where they kind of put you in a position where your client says something or a judge says something, and how do you react to that, and how do you kind of puzzle through what the right thing is to do in that situation.
It's just super helpful to have Eve Primus and others in the organization who have gone through it and can prime you for, okay, here is what to expect in the interview process. Here are the types of questions they might ask you. Here is what you might be expected to do. And because she's had so many other students go through this before, she has this working knowledge of what anyone can expect before they go in. So I felt incredibly prepared before my interviews.
At the beginning of the year, Professor Primus meets with all of the graduating 3Ls and kind of talks to you about what your goals are and where you want to be, and then she gives you a list of people who are alumni and who to reach out to, and sort of what to get a sense of who to talk to and to what to expect from each office, which I thought was really great, because she knows everything about everything basically, and so it was really nice to be able to talk to somebody who knows something. And so yeah, so overall I feel that's one of the biggest things, is the job support really, I feel is invaluable, because you really couldn't get it from anywhere else.
Professor Primus, at the start of the year, sends out an email to everyone who she thinks wants to apply for public defender jobs, and says, if I missed anyone, let me know. And then she schedules this 45-minute talk where she has this quiz. I'd love to see the piece of paper, the document, where she says, okay, do you want to go to a place where everyone is doing a million trials at once, or where the docket is lower? And you can answer. She goes, okay, do you want a place that's in the middle of a big city, or a suburb around the city? Do you want a place where the bosses all work there, or where they came from somewhere else? And she has this huge, it must be a flow chart or something, I don't know. And in the end, she's able to give you really good suggestions. And she has this encyclopedic knowledge of hundreds of offices around the country.
So I was looking for jobs for my 1L summer, and I knew that I wanted to do something in the public defense realm. And I had emailed the MDefenders board, I think, or maybe Professor Primus directly about how do I go about this? What is the timeline? And I just got inundated with all of these resources, not in an overwhelming way, just in a super useful way. And I was able to talk to 2Ls and 3Ls who were still here, who had interned at some of the offices I was interested in. I was able to talk to alumni who worked at those offices to get a better sense of what the culture was like and things like that. And I think after accessing those resources and realizing that there was such a rich community in addition to those resources, I was just hooked.